What's up and good morning, War Rapport family? It's your guy, Ike Jones. We are back with another morning drop. Today, we're talking about, can we get a few flips going here for the recruiting in this upcoming season? What did Coach Freeze and staff have in store for the Tigers? Let's talk about it right here. Morning drop style. Y'all know how we do. Let's drop it on them.
You are now listening to the War Rapport. Drop.
Yes, indeed. Morning drop. Your guy, Ike Jones here. Mike G on a Monday, June the 12th. Mike G, how we feeling this morning?
Yeah, feeling pretty good. About to get the week started. Got some Monday motivation going. Listen,
Monday motivation.
Somebody's got to carry the boats, man. Somebody's got to carry the boats.
You've been talking about carrying boats, man. I have no idea what you're talking about, but hey, listen, man, the only kind of boat that I carry is a gravy boat over to the mashed potatoes, and I put that on there. But man, morning drop, we're here. RogueShop.com is always sponsoring the morning drop. You guys make sure you head over to Rogue Shop using code Rapport, and they will hook you up with America's #1 online dispensary products. Some of the best stuff that you can have out there. Great customer service. Make sure you hit up our folks over there at RogueShop.com. Again, use code Rapport. This morning, we are in here dropping in to talk about recruiting. It is officially that time of year where people are working out and people are making official visits and all that kind of stuff during the summer. And there have been quite a few recruits that are committed to other places. Today, we're specifically talking about those committed to Turd Town. And they want to make sure that they don't have manure all over their bodies in the form of crimson uniforms. And so Coach Freeze and staff are not just going out and saying, oh, well, you committed already? Oh, okay. Well, good luck to it. They're going out there and they're actually pursuing some guys. So today we want to talk about some of the commits that are down there in West Alabama Community College, and which of those could potentially flip over to Auburn. So Mike G, you've got a list courtesy of our guys over there at Rivals. Shout out to Caleb at Rivals for providing us a list of current Bama recruits that Auburn is still pursuing. Who is on that list for us, Mike G?
Yeah, first of all, go check out Caleb. Caleb J_Rivals on Twitter. That's Caleb J_Rivals on Twitter. This list comes courtesy of him. He's our recruiting guy. But there are four highly rated guys that Caleb is saying Auburn fans should keep an eye out, because Hugh Freeze is going to put the full court press on these guys before early signing day to see if he can get some flips going here. The first guy is Perry Thompson. This is going to be the highest rated guy of the four that we're talking about. He's ranked 14th nationally, and he is a wide receiver. Now, Hugh Freeze has talked about receivers. I think proof of concept, we talked about this on the show. Being able to show receivers that we can get you the ball is going to be super important here. So they're keeping the press on Perry Thompson. This is an Alabama guy. He's out of Foley, Alabama. He's part of the 2024 class. He is the second-ranked player in the state of Alabama. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go about this, with Perry Thompson. His primary recruiter is obviously Marcus Davis, who is the wide receiver coach. And, Hugh Freeze and staff, they're just not lying down here and saying, okay, he's committed to Bama. It's going. It's a done deal. They're going to really try to put the press on. But again, I think proof of concept is going to be important, especially for these receivers, man. We've talked about this repeatedly on the show. All the positions on the field, Ike, receiver is it's definitely the position that you have the least control of your destiny in terms of production.
Right.
You can't throw yourself the ball. You can't make a QB see you, right? You can't make them throw it at a certain spot. You can just hope that you get the targets, and then you got to try to make the most out of those targets. But a lot of the flow of the game will dictate how much Auburn throws the ball as well, too. Sure. So it's just a lot of things going on there. And Perry Thompson is going to be watching all this year to see, hey, maybe if there are any struggles at quarterback for Bama this year, because they're a little shaky, and Peyton Thorne or Robbie Ashford comes in and kills it, and Auburn wins the quarterback PR battle, so to speak, this year, maybe Perry Thompson looks at this situation and says, hey, Let me give these guys another look, and hopefully this is when NIL comes in. And then if he says, if all things are equal, there's a huge bag over here for me. So let me go to the Plains and see what I can make work there. So Perry Thompson is the first guy. The second guy on the list is Jeremiah Beeman. When I saw his name, I keep thinking Willie Beeman, but
yeah, natural to go to Willie Beeman for sure.
Right. He is
any given Sunday for those of you who are not hip to that. Yeah.
Right. Wishing our guy Jamie Foxx a speedy recovery. I know he's going through some stuff. But he's the 8th ranked player in Alabama. This is a D lineman, 6'4", 265 out of Birmingham, Alabama. See, he's from the crib.
Yeah.
Around town, if you see him at Piggly Wiggly, just let Jeremiah know the Plains is where he needs to be. But again, the 8th ranked player in the state of Alabama, he's ranked 72 nationally. You're going to see a theme here with players from Alabama ranked in the top 100 nationally. So this is going to be interesting to see what they can do there. Continuing to build that D line, winning the trenches. Hugh Freeze understands that you have to win the trenches to win in the SEC. You have to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. This guy would be a big get for them. He is a hard commit to Bama. Jeremy Garrett is his primary recruiter, but they're going to continue to put the full court press on him to see if there's something that may look appealing there. Now, maybe a little different than Perry Thompson, not necessarily being about proof of concept. I'll be interested to see what their recruitment strategy is for him. We plan to talk to some of the coaches this offseason, and at Media Days, we'll have some questions for what their recruiting strategy is. But Jeremiah Beeman is going to be another one of those kids. He's coming out of Parker High School. I know a few people who went to Parker.
Yeah. The Thundering Herd right here in Birmingham, of course. Yeah.
Right. So next on the list is Sterling Dixon. Mm-hmm. This kid is out of Mobile Christian School. Now, Mobile has been a hot spot for recruiting. Some Julio Jones types players have come out of Mobile. Nick Fairley, like these guys, Mobile has produced some really good players. So if Hugh Freeze is going to take back the state of Alabama, being able to go into Mobile and get guys like Sterling Dixon is going to be super important. He is listed as an edge. 6'3", 211. Might have to put on a little bit of weight. But he is the 12th ranked player in the state of Alabama, 197th nationally. His primary recruiters are Josh Aldridge and Zach Etheridge. We know what an ace recruiter Zach Etheridge is. So it makes me comfortable for a guy who's 197th prospect, and we know how important edge is and Ron Roberts' defense. So it'll be interesting to see if they can really make some inroads here with Sterling Dixon. He's a hard commit to Alabama. He committed on December 1st of 2022. But recruitment is not over till it's over. And I think that Hugh Freeze understands that. When he came in, he was behind the 8 ball on a lot of these guys, right? These commitments come from years of pressure that these coaches have been putting on these kids to get an early commitment. And it's even more important now with early signing day because you cannot just play out the whole season, Ike, for most of these kids and then try to re-recruit them again. You've got to make it happen before the season, and then you got to hope that during the season nothing happens. So these coaches, they're having to recruit in season.
Yep.
To some extent. And it's a lot harder than they had to before. So we know how hard a recruiter Hugh Freeze is. We know that he will go at it and he will go after these kids. But Sterling Dixon is one that they've got an eye on. And the last one, Caleb says, is a common name. A lot of people know Jalen Mbakwe.
We talked about him a little bit before on another show, but continue.
We did. The number 4 player in the state of Alabama. He's a corner, 5'11", 170, out of Clay Chalkville High School in Pinson, Alabama. So he is ranked 20th nationally, and Auburn is going after him. It's Zach Etheridge and Wesley McGriff putting the full court press on Mbakwe. But finding that lockdown corner is going to be super important. Being able to have a guy, to play in the mold, guys like DJ James, guys who can lock down their side of the field and shrink the field for you defensively, super, super important. I feel like Bama has had a lot of luck finding star corners over the years. All these kids are from the state of Alabama.
Yeah.
All of them are from the state of Alabama. So, being able to win back the state is going to be really important for Hugh Freeze, at least to some extent, because you can't have Saban having his pick and then Kirby coming in and Dabo and those guys raiding for the rest.
Right.
That can't happen. We talked about the importance of being able to go down the road to a school like Central Phoenix City, right, and get the best players out of there. Our guy Cameron Coleman is down there. Can they make him reconsider his decisions elsewhere and come to Auburn? 30 minutes from home.
Right.
So Hugh Freeze is looking at a lot of these guys, Ike, and he's trying to figure out, how can I change the narrative about Auburn that's been placed in their minds in the years before he got there, and convince them that this is a different place. This is going to be a different system. There are going to be more opportunities here. Right now, we talked about this. They're selling playing time. Right, they're selling. They're selling playing time because the message has kind of been, we don't have. Right, but ultimately that message is going to have to flip to, come here. This is where you can and will be developed. Here is the proof of that. This is going to be your conduit to the league, essentially, because that's what kids want. At the end of the day, they want to be able to have the best opportunity to go pro and make that pro money. Now, NIL obviously factors in. Hopefully, Auburn continues to build their NIL, but they're going to have to use every tool in the toolbox if they're going to get any of these flips.
Yeah, it's going to take definitely a lot of effort, but we've got some ace recruiters on the staff, and hopefully they've got I know they've got a good plan, but hopefully they've got a good pitch to some of these young men. Listen, if you guys are in here watching the drop, you haven't already hit the share button, then you are about 11 minutes late on doing that. But go ahead and do that. Hit the share button right now. Let somebody else know that this conversation is going on right now. I definitely want to hear the thoughts from the people who cheer for that other school about how much those players would never flip, so that when one of them flips, I can hear them say how much that player, we didn't really want them. So I definitely want to hear their thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you tag your favorite Alabama fan to this video. Like the video if you haven't already, and hit that subscribe button while you're here so that you can know what's going on. And man, hit the notification bell so you already know when we're going live. And we'd definitely appreciate that. But we want to hear some thoughts from you guys in just a minute. But before we do, we definitely got to remind you about the show sponsor, Harmon Mechanical, who is out here doing wonderful things in the Auburn, Alabama area. Harmon Mechanical Heating and Air is an HVAC company that will get you right for these tough summer days that are coming. If you are sweating the details of what's happening right now with recruiting, and you just don't understand why Auburn isn't already ranked negative 332, and the only way that they drop below number one all time in recruiting is because of some act of God. I don't know why people are so caught up on what the recruiting ranking is right now in June, but it doesn't matter. If you're sweating those details, Harmon Mechanical can get you cooled off a little bit. Hit them up at harmonmechanical.com. Make sure you give them a call for your initial appointment at 334-219-0717. Again, servicing the Auburn, Alabama area. Harmon Mechanical is there when you need air. We are here to talk to you all and see what's going on in this here comment section. We appreciate everybody who's dropped in with us this morning. We'll start it off the conversation talking to Corey Weber, who says this season matters so much. If we can show an upward trajectory, we'll grab a couple of flips from Bama, mainly Thompson. So he thinks Perry Thompson is the main guy that needs to flip over to Auburn from the Tuscaloosa Turds. Your thoughts on Perry Thompson being the main flip there, Mike?
Going after a wide receiver, I think, is going to be super important for Hugh Freeze's offense and what him and Philip Montgomery are going to want to do. And it will also help change the narrative about what offense has been like at Auburn. You have to be able to show something. Again, Perry Thompson, 6'3", so he would be kind of on the taller side in terms of receivers that Auburn has had. And he's coming in at 202. So, he's a little heavier, I think, so, we'll see. I don't have his 40 time, but I think it would be, I agree with Corey here. I think it's a guy that they have to, man, if you could make that flip, and he's a 5-star guy, right? This is, Hugh Freeze talked about being in the top 6 or 7, in recruiting. By year 3, Perry Thompson is one of those guys that jumps your recruiting class. You land them and you jump a few spots, right? It's like landing 3 stars. Is essentially what it's like, right? He's got that much value, and definitely based on where they need to improve. If you land a receiver like this, watch out for the quarterbacks as well too. Seeing, hey, listen, man, they've got quality targets for me to throw to there.
Yeah.
might be a good landing spot for me. So I agree with Corey.
Kyle Sweat jumps in and says, I think we need 10 solid commitments by kickoff and show a team headed upward with an 8-win season with one of those against our biggest rivals. So a great way to get commitments is to have other people on board, like you just talked about with, wide receivers seeing the targets there. And conversely, Walker White being the quarterback on board, maybe that impresses, which that's a good thing. We talked a little bit about Walker White and his recruiting job, but him being down there during the camps and getting an opportunity to throw to some of those guys and be there with the offensive linemen and talk to them about what he would like to see in the offense in the future is a big way to get other people on board to know, hey, man, this is the guy that's going to be the future at quarterback. And he seems like a good dude. Yeah, I want to go and line up with him down there on the Auburn sidelines or on the field with Auburn. Definitely good to show other people. But then the other portion of this is having a big season. So, but to your point, the 8 wins, you got to convince some of these guys before you get to win 8, because you don't have that much time before early signing day.
I'm telling you, early signing day has made this a stressful proposition for a lot of coaches. Ike, can't stress this enough, right? You don't have all season anymore. These guys are going to start to make decisions, and a lot of them want to get into camp early if they can. If you're one of these kids that's graduating early, you want the advantage over the peers that you're going to be competing with to go through spring ball. So you really don't have the time. And you see, it seems like it's more and more common to see guys coming into spring. It feels like when you see a guy come, it feels weird when you see a guy coming into summer now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's strange. These guys stay on track to graduate and get the credits they need so they can get into spring ball and get a leg up on learning the system and start, bonding with their teammates and getting the strength and conditioning in they're going to need if they want to try to get on the field in year one.
Right. Yeah, I mean, listen, that early signing period has become the major period for signing recruits. Let's be clear. So a lot of these guys want to get in, like you said, during spring, so that because they want to start immediately. And the best path for them to be able to do that is be there during spring ball. So it's super important. James Barnett jumps in and says, fellas, if we flip one guy from Bama and one from Georgia, we will more than likely have a top 10 class. Thoughts on that?
I could agree with this. Again, remember what I'm saying. You get Perry Thompson, boop, 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 right? You jump a few spots. So, let's say Auburn is in the kind of traditional 18 to 16 area or 20 to 16 area in recruiting. You land a guy like Thompson, he jumps you pretty close to the top 10. You get another one, and then you're easily inside the top 10. So this is assuming that they don't flub on all the normal 4 stars that they would pull in. I just don't see that happening with the effort that's been put in recruiting. I would be shocked if Hugh Freeze had a ton of misses on, the guys that are not hard commits elsewhere that, they're targeting. I think he's going to do a good job of pulling in the guys that they need to get for the base of the class, and then get that icing on the cake with guys like Perry Thompson and maybe Sterling Dixon.
Kyle Sweat jumps in and says, Freeze wants 16 O-linemen to work with each year. That's some serious focus on the line. If we get 3 awesome freshmen and pull the rest through the portal, we're going to be stacked up with reliable depth.
Control the line of scrimmage, man. Win in the trenches, and you can win a lot of football games. Hugh Freeze understands this. He understands that offense gets better, right, with the more time that they have to operate after the snap. Defense is awesome when you have the type of line that doesn't give the offense a bunch of time to operate. Right. So you want more time. You want one getting more time and one giving the other less time, and that's all about the D line, man. So it's in O line. So it's going to be interesting to see how they work. But yeah, I think he just understands you got to control the line of scrimmage. Imagine this: it is you're up against a team with a dynamic offense. Let's say like last year's Bryce Young, or think about the Iron Bowl, the 4 overtime Iron Bowl. Not being able to control the clock directly led to losing that game, right? Like, being able to move the ball and just move the defensive line out of the way and keep the clock running. Now, we all know Tank went out of bounds. He probably should have stayed in, and maybe they win, right? But the importance of the O-line being able to move the line of scrimmage at the end of the game and keep your offense on the field and keep that dangerous guy on the other side of the field off of the field, because Bryce Young had a crap game almost all game. But when the pressure was on, he did what 5-star quarterbacks do.
Get sacked in the end zone and then not get called. No, I'm sorry. Or intentional grounding. Oh yeah. No, yeah. I'm my bad. Yeah.
I get you. It was a safety. But he led his team down the field for the tying score, and then they ended up winning it in overtime, man. And I'm telling you, O-line has a lot to do with that. So that is an advantage that you would like to have, certainly, I think. And the focus on that is paramount. So.
Absolutely. Brandon Carter jumps in and says, all I know is we got to lock up the little brothers of Zeke Walker, Marcus Harris, and Kelvin Falk. I think he meant Keldrick Falk. His little brother is Kelvin. But yeah, the little brothers of those guys who are currently on the team. Now, these are 2025 recruits that he's talking about here. But, it would be nice to get some guys who have some people on the team right now spreading a little love to their little brothers and saying, hey, you definitely want to come here. Hopefully, and this is going to sound like disrespect to Cam Brown, but hopefully the little brothers are not like a Derek Brown to Cam Brown situation where they come here, but they don't ever get an opportunity to play. I don't know how good Cam Brown is or is not, but he never got an opportunity to play. But from all indications, the little brothers might be better than the big brothers in these situations. So, we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Micah Jones jumps in and says, does Perry Thompson flip, if Cam Coleman is locked in the class before signing day? So if we get Cam Coleman to lock in before signing day, will Perry Thompson come as well? Is the question.
I don't think it matters, right? Perry Thompson is the type of athlete that he didn't care who you get. If he's coming, he assumes he's going to start. That's it. He's that highly rated. I mean, he's that dude. And when you're that dude, you don't care about other dudes. Yeah. Right. Like, I mean,
because it's not as if he's going to be the only dude on the Bama squad if he goes there.
So. There's going to be a ton of dudes there. Right. And so, I don't think that's something that factors in for a guy who's that highly rated. Personally, you can reach a point where, we're talking about maybe the 250th player in the class, in the recruiting cycle. Sure. They might consider, they already got too many guys. I don't want to go there because I don't want to get buried. But when you are that dude, when you're that top 20 guy, and you have that rare 5-star that, they're starting to get stingier with handing those out. They're going to be, right? Then you have your pick. He can go to any program he wants. Literally, Auburn might, if it were down to Thompson and Coleman, I believe Auburn would tell Coleman to kick rocks. I would. Like, if they had one scholarship and they had to take one, they're taking Thompson. If he's giving them a commitment, and that's not a shot at Coleman, but I'm just saying, he's that type of talent where you take that guy. Like, it's kind of like, I know this is recruiting, Ike, but, when Caleb Williams decided he was going to USC, he wasn't worried about who they had on the roster there. Right. I don't think he would have been worried anywhere he was going.
Spencer Sanders was the guy that was currently on the roster there with him, 5-star guy, Heisman hopeful, all that kind of stuff. He still went there. And eventually he was starting over him. So.
Yeah, he's on Caleb Williams. When I go, you clear out your locker and you go get me some coffee and pick up my dry cleaning. And I'm the dude, right? And I think that Perry Thompson is going to have that kind of energy. So, no, I don't think it hasn't. I think there's I'm gonna reiterate. I think there's a point at which you are that highly regarded that it does not matter who's on the roster. Right? All that will matter is if you don't show up and perform.
Right.
Right. And these guys, man, these are supposed to be your can't miss guys. Right. These are supposed to be your can't miss guys. Like guys like, and I keep pointing back to it because it was one of the most important classes. I think when Saban first got to Alabama, guys like Julio Jones, where, if you get this guy, he's going to be good. The only way he's not good is if you mess up. Right. And I think Perry Thompson is kind of in that mold.
Haley jumps in and says, not only is a flip from them very necessary, but that flipped commitment needs to show out here at Auburn.
Agreed.
Listen, this is going on right now, right? Like, what's the linebacker's name that flipped from Bama a couple of signing classes ago that hasn't seen the field? Can't think of what his name is right now. But
check me out.
Yeah, but that's an example. Sometimes you need to be able the flip is cool, right? Makes signing day, feel great.
Mhm.
But then when you don't see the guy contribute on the field, it's like, okay, well, that
Yeah,
was kind of
okay.
a little anticlimactic, right? Like,
Right.
hopefully he's going to get his opportunity to come out here and show out. But like,
If
it does feel better when the guy actually is able to Woodyard, thank you. The chat is always
yeah,
on it. Yes.
Robert Woodard, it feeds the Bama narrative too that we didn't want him anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So, ultimately, when you get these flips, yeah, it'd be nice if they did something here.
Right.
Right. But you've got to take back the state. You cannot, when your school resides in one of what I would say is the top 4 most fertile recruiting grounds in the country. Right. Alabama is a super fertile recruiting ground. And, so many good players come out of the state and are in your backyard. And I will even extend that all the way up to Atlanta. Right. Like, it's an hour drive from Auburn. It's an hour the way I drive, but like it's not a hard drive from Auburn to Atlanta. So these kids that are just right up the road there that are coming out of it.
The basketball team understands that.
Man.
They recruit the city of Atlanta, the Atlanta metro area super hard for talent. So definitely needs to be something that that we've had good success in the state of Georgia. But to your point, when you have Georgia and Alabama in your backyard, there's no excuse for you not getting high level productivity from those two states every single year when there's a plethora of talent to choose from, and we've just routinely been missing on them between, to your point, Clemson, Bama, Georgia. Those 3 schools have kicked our butt in Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah, I expect to see dynamic results from Hugh Freeze in this regard based on solely on the effort that's being put in. Right. They are, guys, I don't even know how to explain how hard these guys are recruiting. It is their life. They have made it their sole purpose in life to hit the recruiting trail and go after every prospect they can that they feel like can help this team and that fits what they're trying to do. And I love it. If you were one of those that hated how Harsin recruited, you're in heaven right now, just based on the effort. Now we got to see the results
for sure.
Got to see the results, but at least the effort is there. And if they have some misses, I'm sure there'll be some learnings right along the way. If they have some misses with some kids, but ultimately, Hugh Freeze understands it's going to come a lot to what they put out on the field. In terms of, like we said, we call it proof of concept. Like, show me the things that you are talking about in action and give me something tangible to grasp onto to say, yes, this is a good decision. This is one of the biggest decisions these kids will make their entire lives, right? It will define their future to some extent if they make a good decision or if they make a bad decision. Some kids never recover from making a bad decision. They just end up hopping from program to program because they went someplace and they got a bad coach, or, what they were promised didn't happen, or, they got there and the coach got fired. So you've got to make a good decision. And then you have to like where you live, man. Good for Auburn. Auburn is a great place. It's the love of this village on the plains, it couldn't be truer. So I think that it's easy for kids to come there and fall in love with the culture and the people. But you got to use all the tools in your tool belt to sell what you're trying to do here, because right now you don't have the proof of concept. You got to sell everything else. Right. And hopefully after year one, you'll have more proof of concept. And then once you've done it consistently for a couple of years, it gets easier because, Nick Saban is just, and Kirby Smart, they're walking in and they're showing off the rings.
Right.
They're saying, think about what a great recruiting story Stetson Bennett is for Kirby Smart. If you're the best guy, you'll play, period. I turned Stetson Bennett into a draft pick. A walk-on, and he's got 2 rings. Think what I could do with your talent.
Yeah, and if I'm Hugh Freeze, I'm saying, look at Stetson Bennett. You can get passed over for a walk-on at Georgia. You need to come to Auburn, where we'll give you a scholarship and you actually play. So You know, hey, our scholarship athletes make it to the league. They just pull anybody off the street over there. Your scholarship means nothing. So that would be my reverse recruiting pitch over there.
I like it.
The Walker Show says if there's a college football game and you can edit the names, I'm changing Alabama's name to the Tuscaloosa Turds with your permission. Of course, Ike, listen, hey, I don't take any credit for the Tuscaloosa Turds, but you can definitely do that. I if you do that and screenshot it, I will gladly share it wherever I get the opportunity to see you have changed the name to the Tuscaloosa. Make it Tuscaloosa Turds, and you got a deal.
Hey.
Yeah. James Morris, not on the subject of football, but ask, have you guys seen any film on the new basketball commit, Adrian Scott? And I have not heard his name pronounced, so I apologize, Mr. Scott.
Darren.
Is it Darren?
Yeah,
Darren Scott. So I have actually watched some film on him. If you guys want to see or watch the film on Scott, we can do that. I didn't know if that was like a thing people wanted to see, but I do have a couple of games of his that we could go through. I'd be glad to do that with our members at some point in time. So we'll try to get that done for y'all. All right, man. Well, that is it. Well, so before we go, what I want you guys to do in the comment section is give me the rank. So we put 5 names out there just now?
Four names. Perry Thompson.
Of those 4, I want you guys to rank in order the ones that you feel like are the most important for us to flip. So 2 different lists here because they might be different. Most important, from the most important to the least important of those 4. And then the most likely to the least likely. So I want to see 2 lists of 4 from you guys right down here in the comment section after this video is done, so we can see what you guys are feeling about our potential to flip. If you want to give percentages and all that kind of stuff, you can do that too. But I want to hear from you guys in the comment section.
Quick reminder, Perry Thompson, Jeremiah Beeman, Sterling Dixon, and Jalen Mbakwe.
Those are the 4 names. Yeah. So I want to see ones that you want to see the most and the ones that are most likely to flip down in the comment section. I will look forward to reading those comments. And, you know, guys, I will reply to everything that you guys put out here. Anyway, we are out of here. Once again, we appreciate the Rogue Shop for sponsoring today's morning drop. Head over to rogueshop.com. Use code Rapport when you go over there. That lets them know that the War Report sent you. Get a little something off your purchase. We're going to be back at you guys tomorrow morning with another morning drop. Make sure you like the video before you get out of here. Subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend about the War Report. And we'll holler at you guys the next time. And as always, War Eagle. Peace.